Hey everybody, welcome back to Never in Reverse podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Axel. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Val.
It's very important to change and evolve, learn, grow and develop. Leadership, which is for me not ownership and not controlship. It's stewardship. You should be a role model and you should show them that you are involved in yourself. So that's why you have to evolve, you have to learn so much, but also you have to unlearn a lot of stuff. Because we have bias, we actually bring without this luggage into our organization. So without really deep work inside yourself, you cannot avoid and go there and impact.
She is a PhD expert in her craft, world traveler, knows 7 languages. She's super awesome. She's super funny.
Can you imagine 300% chance for be depressed and 400% being suicidal? It's huge. It's pandemic and people don't talk about this. But why? Because they don't fit in the systems, but also because they are struggling so much with self-awareness, self-esteem, self-leadership, self-governing.
Welcome to the show, Val. Hey everybody, welcome back to Never in Reverse. I'm your host, Jeremy Axel. Today we have a very special guest. Val, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Genuinely appreciated the opportunity, grateful, because what we can give to each other, what is the most important precious commodity of this modern time, it's our time actually, and full presence and focus, right? Being in this deep conversation, cross the ocean, and like I'm proud Ukrainian, but now I live in Norway, and then people like, where are you from? Norway? Like, yes, I'm a global citizen. To your mic, to your team, beautiful team.
Give the audience, what's the craziest thing and unique thing about you? One thing.
Craziest thing. I am the huge fan of koalas, and this is also the room where I'm hosting my show. So they are actually the best audience. So and my kids, they also know that everywhere koalas. So I really koala lover. This is crazy thing. And my closest friends, they actually call me Coco. They even don't call me Valeriya.
Really?
And you know what? Actually, it's so crazy. I had no idea. But koala is the one animal on the earth that has 3 vaginas.
3 vaginas.
Yes. Girl one.
Those male,
Females. Not guys. Okay, I didn't check. I was cuddling with one. It was a guy. His name was Chuck. But I didn't specifically check this stuff. I found way many years later.
Hey, so PhD from Stanford, 15 years of experience in the topic that we're going to discuss. I'm excited to dive into the topic of today, which is around neurodiversity, right? And I could probably relate to that. I'm excited to dive into that. But first of all, can you just give like around neurodiversity, can you just talk about like your core topic around being a superpower? Just one statement, like give me something that's like important to you.
First of all, I think really to summarize one superpower and super traits, I'm OCD, neurodivergent. OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. But now actually I already reframed it with one very powerful statement. Like it's not OCD, it's OCS. It's obsessive compulsive superpower. Or I call it even I'm OCD-licious. Like, you know, delicious, but like OCD. Yeah. Even now, like to plant the seeds, and it actually will be my next part to OC delicious. Even now to plant a seeds in people's minds that neurodiversity, it's not weakness, it's mental uniqueness. It's not disorder, it's disorder, different order of how our brains wired. And it's not weakness, it's mental uniqueness. It's not disability, it's plus ability, or it's possibility. This is if just like one statement, right? But before that, actually many people still don't know what neurodiversity means, and they are keeping asking, but actually what it means, cognitive diversity or neurodiversity. And ironically enough, I'm neurodivergent. I was diagnosed with OCD for 17 years ago, but I discovered this term just 2 years ago. And neurodiversity acknowledge the natural variations in how human brains wired, how our cognitive executive functions differ, and how we process the world in a different way. It's the same, like we have different fingertips, right? And everybody knows that. We have totally different DNA, and we are over 8 billion people in the world, right? And our brains are just wired differently. It's not weakness, it's not disorder, it's not to be broken, to be awkward, to be weird. No, I am advocating it's actually to be mentally or cognitively unique. And the term neurodiversity was coined by Judy Singer. She is Australian sociologist. It was coined in 1998, and the term challenges the traditional view that neurological differences are pathological. Instead, it frames that our brain and all these differences, they're valid and they're valuable expressions of human diversity. So not weakness, mental uniqueness.
Yeah, thank you for that. Leadership and just the world, not even business, but just the way that we lead. What do you think that there's a big misunderstanding of this topic and the key, you know, OCD or ADHD or all these, these things that are labeled. I almost to push. I don't even know if it's to push people down, but to almost segment them away. Maybe they make it feel like there's an issue with them, or maybe that's why they're not doing X, Y, Z when they're behind that. Because I struggle with just type A-ness, and I'm ADHD, and I can do a lot at once, and it's my superpower. Just like you said, I when I can hone in on it. But what do you think the biggest misunderstanding and the problem with like the labeling to include into this bucket that might not be as beneficial, or so to speak, in the corporate world or in society, right? Like we've done a good job, and in the United States, I don't know if it's global, but we've done a good job of like almost putting them in well, they have ADHD or she's OCD, or what do you think the biggest misunderstanding is around the neurodiversity?
Thank you so much. It's so important that we are bringing this deep conversation more and more and raising awareness and impact, because neurodiversity is still one of the most misunderstood and misinterpreted superpowers and actually leadership assets today. And I want, first of all, to be the cause that we are changing the global narrative about neurodiversity, because, like I already said, different way of thinking are not weaknesses, especially in now really, really fast changing complex world. And we are facing really complex problems every single day. And people with neurodivergent traits, they're really untapped capabilities, they're untapped talents that with the right context and the right harnessing and leveraging, we can turn them into organizational sustainable performance. But still, many organizations, unfortunately, they focus on standardization, right? Still, and systems and structures, procedure are still built for neurotypical people. And here we are talking that it's better now. We are raising awareness, we are talking more and more in a healthy way, we are creating arena where we can more be open about this. But in many countries, even I made in Ukraine, like it's Soviet, it's still stigma, it's still taboo, it's still prejudice, it's still quite risky to be open at this subject. And many people, especially neurodivergent, they have to overperform, over mask, over hide, and of course over please, because we are still on this trait that we are afraid, we have to hide. We try to fix our brains how all the time to fit in neurotypical system, because organization, they prioritize performance through standardization, system still optimized for neurotypical, like I said, people, right? And also to be different, since I don't know, through many decades and centuries, actually has been always labeled as deficit, as disadvantage. It's something we should be afraid of. It's always like unknown, it's scary, right? So unfortunately, like I said, in many workplaces, in still communities, taboo, stigma, discrimination, and then it leads, of course, to toxic organizational culture, right? Hiding, burnout, so and unsafety environments. For us, neurodivergent people, the most important for us, like maybe you also know, if you say you have ADHD, like we have another requirements how we can perform. We need sometimes actually just small adjustments. We don't need like really big changes, but to know that people who we are interacting with, they are aware, right? Because for us, like, it's so toxic all the time. to hide and like over please all the time to fit in. But we should more and more talk about it. It's just not about us. 20% of population neurodivergent. If we are talking about millennials, it's like every seventh person who is identified. And can you imagine how many people or kids in countries like China,
Yeah.
India, Bangladesh, Africa, they have never ever access to be identified? How many
Yeah.
actually really people with these neurodivergent traits, right? And if all the time we have to fix our brains to fit in, it's craziness. It doesn't work like that. The system also should change and evolve to meet our requirements. That's why you and me sitting here today joking and still talking honestly and authentically about this subject.
Well, I think it's you're exactly right. I think in the United States, we I think what's happening though, there's the authenticity around how you manage people and um not 100%, but in our organization, the shift to me, I just want people to be who they are. Right? When they're not, it actually bothers me. I'm like, be authentic. Like, just be who you are, good and bad, bring it all. I'm like, I'm not perfect. So I think there's like this suppression, and then in the United States, typically they're labeled and they're saying, well, you need to get on a medication. So now you're not fitting in. So here's some medication so you can go standardize and get in line, so to speak. Get in line and do it the way that the system says to do it. And I think you hinder your ability because there's superpowers in that person that they could think creatively. They're out of the box. They're already light years ahead of you where you should go if you just let them be. And maybe they're not perfect in that position, but they could be really good in a position that allows them to flourish if they're super creative and they can see the end of the road before you see it and all those things, right? But most of the time they're like, here's your box, don't step outside of that box. If you do, you're going to go to see the HR department, whatever. That's in life, right? Or you need to go get on medication or whatever they want. I think when leaders adapt to the neurodiversity, which is very hard in our culture. I think that if you don't fit inside of their box, they typically put you on a little tag. Um, I think with the way that talent's moving around and the younger generation just doesn't care to stay loyal unless you're going to treat them on, you're going to have an encouraging environment. If leaders adapt that and use it as a system advantage, I think that you can you do have to have some systems, but I think you can really flourish. I think you can exceed what your system allows you to do because those people can bring a lot of uniqueness, right? Because they're typically what I've seen is they're trailblazers. They want to get ahead of the curve. They're creative. They don't like working inside the box because they can see past your box or whatever. They're typically ahead of the angle that you're trying to project, and they can bring some perspective that you might not see.
Thank you so much. It's incredible, Jeremy, that you have already brought so much advocacy for you and me and for us, and actually also for Gen Z, because if we were talking about millennials, it's 1%, but actually every fifth from Gen Z is neurodivergent, and it's really rocket scaling. And we know why, because all these brains, now we are on this era of digitalization and AI, and right, all the brain constantly working. It's a lot of stimulation all the time for our sorry but poor teenagers and kids. They have to make thousands of choices every single day because there are bumped with so much stimulation, so much noise, and how to actually figure out where to put their attention. And we know where focus go, energy flows. It's very challenging time really for people. And then if they also have neurodivergence, our brains wired differently, so it can be really challenging situation. So we have to teach and speak with the kids openly about how they should make really conscious choices, what kind of information they should put in their, like, it should be emotional regulation, should be mental fitness, right? It's so important for us now grown ups actually to follow the systems even from the very young age, how our kids are developing. But still, of course we would like them to be so authentic, and especially for neurodivergent population, like actually you asked me where I could find your amazing show, guys, and I shared through Marcus Agdin, right, our friend, and his show is everything about being authentical. And he was asking me, Valeria, what actually means for you to be authentical? And I said, you know what? For us who has special, not needs but uniquenesses, especially for our brains, and it's really luxury to be authentic, because for us it's not just to be ourselves, right? For us it's alignment between internal wiring and external expression, and we have all the time to understand how we should show up in our typical systems, and it's always crash all the times to be authentical. You have to make this choice, exactly what you're saying.
Mhm.
You have to make choice how much you should probably follow the teachers from kindergarten, from school, and put your kids on diagnosis, medicines, and all this stuff, or actually maybe feel and believe your gut and actually intuition. No, kids should be like that. Sometimes, like I have adopted two kids, and one of them, Michelle, she was like everywhere, like a monkey, and they wanted to put her immediately on the medicines because she didn't
Yes.
follow, she didn't want to see it. I said, yes, but she want to discover the world. If not when she's 3, 4, 5 years old, when then she will be following structures and rules all their life, all grown her life. Now it's time for her to be crazy and to actually push the boundaries, right? But if we put them on medications immediately to be like another and just sit and do what they want, I think it's not right. It's not right. Definitely not right.
Well,
So
and that's exactly right. And one thing I think that I appreciate you on is you've taken basically all this, I would say, awareness, struggle, probably some social pressures and all the things that you've gone through for your life, and you've captured that in like your 5E enablement methods, right? You're enabling, you've created a structure in your business. I'm curious, because that's tough for you, right? Like you're now centralizing to try to connect with people that have a need, right? They want to, number one, they want to feel seen. They want to feel valued. They want to feel that they can show up to this in this world authentic, and they want to connect. Like, we all have the same needs. Like, I don't care where you're at. We all have the same innate desires in life, right? So
mhm,
can you first of all introduce your organization, and then what that means to people that might be facing um, maybe a struggle, or maybe they're just they feeling a lot of heaviness because they can't show up being authentic because they're scared about what people are going to say or do, all these things, right, that you face.
mhm. Thank you so much, because this is exactly what I'm doing. It's not just my personal story. Of course, it's rooted in my personal story, but then I understood that it's actually also the story of my kids, but so many people now struggling in the society, because this is statistic. I'm working with Stanford, my PhD, neurodiversity faculty of medical Stanford school, and 80% of people on autistic spectrum, grown-ups, they are unemployed. For example, can you imagine 300% bigger chance for be depressed, and 400% being suicidal, actually have suicidal tendency, and actually suicidal execution. It's huge. It's pandemic and people don't talk about this. But why? Actually, because they don't fit in the systems, but also because they are struggling so much with self-awareness, self-esteem, self-leadership, self-governing. Because leadership, for me, and I'm teaching a lot of executives, I'm mentoring, coaching people, because they don't know sometimes how to interact with neurodivergent employees, and sometimes they even don't know that actually they have neurodivergent traits themselves, and how they can harness and leverage them. Then it's again, we have to start with ourselves. First of all, we have to teach how to turn actually model into self-empowerment leadership from these negative narratives which we all the time having in loops, especially neurodivergent people, right? We know that in companies it's still revenue and profitability and leadership, everything about speed, execution, uh, I don't know, money, revenue, titles. Yes, we know that, but still more and more we understand that cash revenues, actually it's the oxygen of corporate world, but organizational culture, it's nervous system. And if nervous system hurts, then actually inhaling also almost impossible. Then you should go back again and again to social part, to people part, and harness this relationship with, first of all, yourself and actually with your employees. And then is coming my 5E enabler method, which actually nurtured this part of human or social sustainability in your company. And then it's a pathway from unconscious performance to conscious leadership. And the very, very first E, it's actually empathize. Maybe it sounds like pathetic or just so soft topic or something. Even sometimes when I'm start talking with top executives, right, and they're like, "What do you mean actually? Can you tell me like concrete tools what I have to do 1, 2, 3 with these people to strengthen like my profitability or revenue?" I said, yes, it sounds like it's soft topic, but it's absolutely not, because there are always two approach how actually you are interacting every single situation. Even now you and me like sitting right, and we are impacting each other in every single situation. We are both student and teachers. It's all the time. And you have two options. You can put even like glasses, or you're approaching from judgmental approach immediately, and you put this all labels on these people, and then it put them in this position that they hide themselves again. They feel like scared. It's again like building barriers, and then they feel okay, I'm safe. They're living actually not companies, neurodivergent people. You're so right. We have this special uniqueness like system thinking, pattern recognition, divergent thinking, risk intelligence, deep analytical focus. We are really propelled the society. All big innovations actually made by people with neurodivergence, right? Nikola Tesla, Einstein, Thomas Edison, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, everybody. But why? We should feel that we are seen and we are safe, right? But actually, if we don't have this environment, we cannot actually all the time to try to fit in. And leaders, they should understand that sometimes it's small adjustments, like you are aware that this person is unique, different, and you have this open dialogue, and you are approaching not from judgmental like point of view, but from empathizing. It's very, very important. So I'm teaching always start from that, like beginner's mind in mindfulness. If you know a little bit about these pillars, 7 pillars, they have like this beginner's mind, or they call it also sometimes the mind of a kid. Kids, we should teach from them. They have this radical curiosity, right? Without
Exactly. That's his curiosity. If you lead with curiosity, sorry for cooking up, but I was going to ask you that. Like, to me, it's like what I'm hearing is like, don't lead with all the things that we've been told. Like, if you look with curiosity, you're going to find and keep being curious without judgmental, because if you start doing that, people are going to feel unsafe. They're going to feel in heightened stress levels, all these things. But if you always remain curious, it doesn't mean that like, and I think we need to be careful. You don't want to take away from people for performing at their tasks, right? You want to make sure that it is a business. But if you always lead with curiosity first, I think you're gonna discover maybe things, that barriers that you're holding back on, that's not allowing that person who might have it might be OCD, that's like you're one tap away from being awesome. That person might take you to the next level. Like there's things like you could be holding back, especially I just think as your team grows and it gets more complex, right? That's the one thing is I was going to actually ask you from your standpoint to executives, and you're talking to a high level executive, let's just say, what does effective leadership look like in a very complex, high pressure environment from your analysis of going in and helping these organizations? Is there something that you can say to some that might be, hey, we're growing fast. I know these exist in my culture. I'm not sure what to do with it. So some people just go, not my problem. I'll put middle layer management in it, and I hope it goes away and doesn't come to me. That's typical, because I can relate, because as you get layers and you have this team, you try to be involved, but you can't touch everyone. It's like undercover boss, right? You see that guy go out and he doesn't know what those people are doing. He's on the streets. He's like, I had no idea. Well, it's always good to have some idea, but when you're going fast and it's high stress and complex, what do you think that effective leadership, if someone's in that executive role, what is some golden nuggets that you can tell them, like, culturally or, neurodiversity, like, what do you think they should focus on to, or get help with?
Thank you so much. And again, we are coming to these soft topics, which is actually not soft, but really the foundations of leadership and sustainable companies, because all these big executive and leadership, they won't change the world, they won't change the organization, but it's not possible without actually you start changing yourself. And especially
Hmm.
in this rapidly changing world, every single day we are experienced, like now the age of AI, right? We all live all the time in this every single hour that we have to follow, or actually you're behind. That's why I'm teaching that, okay, empathize, and then from this point of view you can it's very important to change, and it's next E, it's evolve. And what I mean with evolve, it's actually it's learn, it's grow and develop. And it's again and again how you should work with yourself, because if you don't gain new knowledge, even what is neurodiversity and how you can harness this real creative mental uniqueness from your employees, right? So actually, because can you imagine, so many people now, we are so globalized, and if you have a product or you have customers, they are all diverse, and many of them also neurodivergent. How you can actually meet the requirements of those people, right? And you have already these untapped capabilities of brilliance of minds, but yes, you have to show them by your leadership, which is for me not ownership and not controlship. It's stewardship. You should be a role model, because leadership, it's visibility, and visibility, it's responsibility. And you should show them that actually you are involving yourself, you are evolving yourself. And then people, it's like in family, like you kids, you can tell them hundreds of times what to do, but if you are not acting, you're not following what you are preaching, they will be copying your actions, not your words. Leaders the same, like in place, they are watching you what you are doing, and
Yeah.
they feel. And now we are talking actually more and more about conscious leadership, leadership which develop themselves through the deep awareness. It's not just about profit, just about even speed of execution and scale and all this pathway. It's, of course, we still talk about business, we still talk about money, but I mean, really, leaders which invest in the harnessing of cognitive diversity, they have this future AI, and how actually you will be leading from human centered approach of leadership. So that's why you have to evolve, you have to learn so much, but also you have to unlearn a lot of stuff, because we have bias, right? And which we actually bring with us this luggage into our organizations, and a lot of childish trauma. We have a lot what is actually inside. We believe we don't have to care. We
Oh
have
yeah.
to care, because all that we are projecting and manifesting every single day on actually people who are surrounded by us. So without really deep work inside yourself, you cannot avoid and go there and impact it, because first you should really teach how you should be conscious, responsible, self-empowering leadership for yourself, right? That's why next E, it's evaluate. And then we are talking here already about interaction with your people, especially neurodivergent people, because they will be challenging your perspective all the time. But I'm talking about that like a golden gems. If you're a smart leader, you can use
No.
the feedback not like barriers, but like a bridges. This is the brilliant information for you, where you can get actually where you can develop your potential. It's potential, it's really golden gems, it's feedback all the time, like really. But of course, so many people, especially leaders, they are with these big crowns, their bosses, they know what they do, and how like this person can autistic come, because no, autistic people, they cannot lie. If they don't like something, they come and they just bring everything to you from the leave, like, and if you, but this is the brilliant feedback actually. And if you collect these gems of feedback, you can evaluate, you can sit with yourself, just pause, breathe, couple of minutes per day, you don't need much, and like, okay, what actually I have learned from this interaction, what this new person, especially if it's from your generation, came with this golden gem of new knowledge, what can I learn from this maybe much younger guy, right? It's so
Exactly.
important that you can take this feedback, collect like golden gems, put and like, okay, what can I do? This is my feedback. I think it's so important. I do it. Okay. I'm trying to do. I'm not a brilliant that, yeah, but I'm trying at least pause, because I use like gratitude meditation every morning and every evening, and then I'm trying to, like, scale the thread of my, like, the whole day. Okay, what I could put this feedback I can like turn, not take it like negatively, like really like it was criticizing me, but constructively, what actually I can learn from it. So I'm teaching this executives that then when you collect all these gems and you learn, unlearn, you empathize first of all, then you can enhance clarity, decision making, emotional regulation, mental fitness, energy patterns, everything within yourself, and how you actually take the decision, especially under pressure situation, right? How you handle all that. It really connects with your revenue, with your rotation of your employees, how you handle your customers. It's like it's so it's so direct impact. And then lastly, it's empowerment. It's how you should teach yourself to empower yourself, because empowerment is awareness and responsibility, and then you can empower your people, your employees. So it's regenerative, it's circular, like human-centered leadership framework I made. So actually you don't feel like sometimes you're backwards, or you forgot something. You can just look at this wheel or engine and like, okay, and just use couple of minutes per day and look at one of those E's. Doesn't matter where you start, because it's all the time the same in every interaction every day. And like, okay, what did I do today for evolve or for empathize? Did I empathize actually even towards myself? Because we have to learn to be our biggest ally, but we are our biggest criticizers, right? All the time. Yeah, me too,
Uh,
actually.
100. Well, thank you. As we wind this down, I got a couple reflective questions. What is one leadership belief that you had to completely unlearn? When you went down this journey for yourself, what's one thing you've had to unlearn?
I had to unlearn when I approach new situations, especially in cultural context. I should not put immediately, even then, these glasses of judgment. I don't have to start immediately compare with actually, of course, my country, my language, my tradition, my
Mm-hmm.
roots. Because this is so typical. Even when I moved to Norway, like, I was like, why they do like this? Like, you start
Mm-hmm.
you getting crazy, because like normal people don't do like this, right? But this is so trap. This is the
Mm-hmm.
worst case scenario, because no, you have always first of all approach every single situation, and especially when you're dealing with new culture and tradition, with respect. Yes, because it's not worse, it's not better, it's just different, and it's up to you how actually you can approach. So for me, it was many times challenging, like really I believed how I learned when I grew up, this is the most right way. But in every different country, in US, in Japan, in Ukraine, everything, it's different what is normal actually, right? So this is the type. So I had to unlearn really that, okay, because I'm culture explorer, but the most sure way to do it, it's actually to keep genuine respect in your heart when you are arriving, or when you are in interaction with a person from another ethnical roots. So this is important.
If you had to simplify your entire philosophy into one principle, one thing about you as a person, what combines that for viewers?
I think that this is also the future of our leadership, is awareness. It is awareness and adaptability. It's not to adopt, like, you have to fully look something, because now, like I said again, it's so much noise and there are so many sources, advices, models, frameworks, everybody preaching. Oh my God, everybody knows everything. And if you really can put yourself in this trap that you have to adopt, really, then immediately it also brings that the power of comparing yourself with anybody else. And the great, I think Einstein said the great thief of joy is actually comparison, right? So you don't have to adopt immediately somebody's, because we're all different. What is best maybe for you and for your kids, it can be different for me and for my
Yeah.
kids. But adapt and to be flexible, because we have to. We cannot sit and say, no, I don't like this EI. I'm not going to adapt. Who is care what you're thinking? The world is changing every single second, right? So adaptability and awareness that you actually understand from deep point of view, first of all, who you are, and then you can go and understand that by being yourself and make these conscious choices, you actually really impact other people, especially if you're a leader. Like I said, it's a real visibility and it's responsibility. Very important. Awareness and adaptability. Two A's. A.
Perfect. Okay, and I'm going to pull one on you. So, as we wrap down, give the audience one thing from you that you typically don't share with people.
Woo! Okay. I love it. Oh my God. I
Let's
love
do
your
it.
show. That's why I actually, wow, it will be not share with people. Instead,
Authentic. I want you to be authentic. I don't care what it is.
yeah. Okay. You know what? Actually, when I opened my podcast, I was in mental institution for 4 weeks, and I called it Pishcast because I was in pyjama. First 3 episodes, I was in my pyjama. This is so true. And my very, very first guest is actually ex-minister of whole social system of Great Britain. And he knew I was in my pyjama. Yes. And I can see you now. And if you
That's
really
awesome.
want now to be shocked, I still joke in that almost, I don't know, 80% of my shows when I'm at home, actually, I do love pajamas. I'm in my pish, and I think one day I will be writing my book. It's about Pishcast, and actually one day it's a dream, but I'm sure I will be inviting you. I make a studio, which actually it will be not podcast but Pishcast, and I will be inviting all the people in their pajamas. Why? Because we are playing a lot of different social roles through the day. We are parents, we are leaders, we are all these influencers, we are models, all the time. But when we come home, fine. When we arrive and we're actually just with ourselves, okay, people sometimes they use pajamas, sometimes they don't, but then they're authentically themselves, just when nobody watches, when they don't have
Yeah.
to put all these different like roles and models, then I want them to be in my peach cast and say, pretend that actually you're done with your day, with all your masks, with all your, and now we really have this the most naked, authentic conversation.
That's awesome.
And now look at me. I'm in my pajama.
There we go. Isn't it
That's
so funny? Like the
yeah.
world is just, well, thank you so much for sharing, Val.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for this episode of Never in Reverse. Neurodiversity is not a deficit. It's a superpower. Until next time, I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Never in Reverse, and have a great day in No Way.